Okay, now we're at the last tool we're going to talk about today, and it's called Mail Merge. And I think it's one of the most exciting tools that Excel has to offer. And so with Mail Merge, you can create reports quickly and easily, and it saves a ton of time. So I'm excited to show you this tool, and I hope that you'll find value in it as well. So what a lot of people don't know is that there is the possibility to link a Word template to Excel. And so I guess in summary what it does is you identify an Excel template or an Excel database that you want to link to the Word document. And what you do is that the first row of the Excel file can be considered the titles, right? The column titles. You link these columns to specific areas within the Word file. And then what happens is when you run a mail merge application within Word, it inserts the appropriate data from each row into the template that you've established in Word. So for example, for this scorecard page, the first page that it would make would be reflected off of this first row of data. So every data point here that's under the appropriate column would be automatically inserted into this document. And then once it finishes with the first page, it moves on to the second row here of data and does the same thing in the third and the fourth and the fifth, etc. So it can do a tremendous number of pages very, very quickly, and it's all reflecting data that's within the Excel database. And so all the macros I've talked about today, the VLOOKUPs, all of those features can be included into this Excel file and then exported very quickly and efficiently into a Word document. So again, it's a very, very powerful tool that we found very helpful. So how does it work? Well, the first thing we need to do is to establish a link between the Word template and the Excel file. So what you'll find in Word is a title called Mailings in the toolbox here. So you would click Mailings, and then you would go under Select Recipients, and you'd click that. And what that is to Word is what Excel file do you want to link to? And you would select Use Existing List because the assumption is you would already have an Excel file that you would like to link to this template. So by clicking on that, it opens up a select window here, and you would choose the Excel file that you've already established to populate data into this Word document. Once you do that, you need to identify the fields which are going to be at specific points in this Word document. So for example, if I wanted to put in supplier name for this scorecard, I would hit Insert Merge Field, and then I would select one of these titles, and these titles correspond to that Excel page that I just showed you. And remember the column names? Well, these are the column names in the first row. So you would select, in this case, supplier name, which is a column in that Excel page, and then you would hit Insert. And so what that would do, it would insert that field into your Word document. And so when the mail merge function is run, the data that's under that particular column heading would be automatically put into this Word template. And so like I said, the first row of data that's in the Excel file, it would put that data into this page of the mail merge template, and then it would go to the second page. It would create a second page and then take the second row of data and put it into the appropriate fields. So that's how this mail merge works in general. In like a general overview, that's how the mail merge function works. So once you've established all the fields in your template that you want to populate in this form, then you would go to the Finish and Merge function. And so what I'll show you is the function called Edit Individual Documents. And what that does is it populates a one Word file with every single page representing a row of data in the Excel page. Now, and I'll say pages because in this case the scorecard is 1 page long. But you can imagine if you had a 3 page document, then it would populate those 3 pages with the appropriate fields within those 3 pages, and then move on to the next set of 3 pages, and the next set of 3 pages, and the next set of 3 pages. So when you talk about records here, when you do edit individual documents, it'll come up to merge to new document, and you can select either all the rows of data in the Excel database that you are using, or you can select certain rows of that Excel database. So for example, if you had a 3 page Word document that draws off of a particular row of data, then for example, if I selected here from row from record 1 to 1, for example, it would create a 3 page document because, like I said before, the template is 3 pages long. But if you said record from 1 to 2, then it would create the first 3 page document, which represents data from the first row of data in the Excel page, and then it would go to the second row of that Excel page and create 3 additional pages, because in that case the template is 3 pages long. I hope that's clear. So it goes by records here in this feature. So I think it'll be a lot clearer if I actually show you real time how this function works, and we'll move on from there. Okay, so here we are in a blank Word template. And so what we want to do first is to initiate a link between this Word template and the Excel file. So that's under Mailings, and you go to Select Recipients, which means which Excel file do you want to link this to. So you select Recipients button, and then you go to the existing list because we do have an existing Excel file already made. So it's going to ask where that Excel file is. So we go to the Documents folder, and or wherever you have this file. Happens to be here on my computer. So I'll click Open, and so now it's asking, what tab within that Excel file do you want it to bring data from? So if you look at the Excel file here, you'll notice that it does have a tab called Scorecard Report ASQ, and that's exactly the tab we want to pull data from. So I'll go over here and click Scorecard Report ASQ. Click just this one, don't click the one that has all these other symbols at the end here. This is the tab that you want. You'll click OK. So now I've established that link. Okay. The second thing I want to do is to determine which fields I want to put into this template. So for example, in this case, supplier scorecard, I want to put the supplier name here. So I want to insert a merge field. Then it's asking which field do I want to insert. If you go back to the Excel file, you'll notice that the supplier name is listed here, and the column title is supplier name, and that's where all the supplier names are located. So we go to the Word file, and then there it is. There's that column. And then I say, yes, I want to insert that data into the template. So there I have it. So now what happens is, when the template runs, and when you do the mail merge function, it's going to look for that column at this particular spot and says, oh, I need to put in a supplier name. So when it runs through, it goes from the first data row first, and then it's going to go over and say, yep, I need to put in Acme Widgets number 1 into this field. Runs through the template, does all the other things on the page, so you'll populate all these other fields, and then it says, okay, I'm done. Now it's time for the second page. It will go to that second row of data, and then it goes to supplier name again and puts in Acme Widgets number 2, and so on and so forth. And so that's how these are populated. So let's add another field just for fun here, AV vendor ID number. So let's go ahead and insert merge field. And if I look at the Excel template, that ID is located in a column titled Unique ID. So I'll go over here, and there it is. I'll say insert, close, and then there we go. So now it's going to put that data in at this spot. And again, the first row of data, it's going to take the supplier name in that first row and the unique ID in that first row, and so on and so forth. So you would end up populating all of these items as you see fit in your template, and then move on to the mail merge feature, which I will show you next. Okay, so here we are with a pre-populated template. So I've populated all the fields, and so you can see the entire page is filled with that. This happens to be a one-page template. Now I'm not limited to one page. I could have a 2, 3, 4-page template if I wanted to. Okay, and so once I establish that template, and now I have all my fields labeled and connected to my Excel page, now it's time to do the actual mail merge function. So that's under mailings again. And so in this case, let's do finish and merge, and we will do edit individual documents. And what this is going to do is to create a Word document with each page, in this case because it's a one-page template, each page corresponding to data from each row of the Excel page. And so if I do that, I can say, okay, how many records do I want to process? You can do all of them, or you can specify a number. So in this case, let's go ahead and go back to the Excel page, and we see that our data is about 580 long, right? About 580 rows. So let's do a nice round number. We'll go from 1 to 580. There we go, right? And so now what I'm asking it to do is to pull data from the first row of the Excel file, the first row of data, to the 580th row, populate these fields automatically, put them into a one word file so I can review it. So I click OK. It seems like it's cranking a little bit, but it does it very quickly. You'll see the first page pop up, so there it is. But if I were to zoom out, you can see that as I zoom out, all these other pages have already been done. It does it extremely quickly. And again, each page is populated from each row of this data file, right? So this is something that you can use very easily, and it creates many reports very quickly. And you can imagine what we used to do is we would cut and paste data from the Excel file into here. While it gets the job done, it takes a lot longer, right? Can you imagine? We just did 580 reports in less than 30 seconds. You can imagine how long it would take to do this individually and transfer data from one Excel page to a Word document. Not to mention there's greater risk of a cut and paste error, for example, so you have to be very careful. So I think this method is both more efficient and also less likely to have errors in it. Okay, so that's the first way you can do the mail merge feature here using this tool. Okay, so let's show you a different method here that you can do the mail merge. So you can also do send email messages. Now this is something I would definitely trial first with test email addresses before you go and send these out to clients, for example, but I'll show you how it works. So this function allows you to specify a column in your Excel page that has email addresses. So if we go back to my Excel sheet here, I do have a column that's listed as a contact email address. So if I typed in an email address here, I could then refer to it using this function. And so I say, yes, my email addresses are in a column titled contact email address. The subject line I can modify, or whatever I want to type here. It says, okay, what format do you want me to send this data to that email address? It could be an HTML file, it could be a plain text or an attachment. In this case, it would be like, say, a Word attachment. And then you can select which records you want to send. Once I hit OK, it will look for the email addresses in this column here, and then once it populates a scorecard with this information, it will send it to that email address automatically. So in a sense, you could send 580 emails very, very quickly. Not to mention you've also generated these 580 reports very, very quickly. So a very attractive function here within Word. Okay. There's another feature here that is related to PDFs. So now what you can do here is if I were to select, say 580 records here, what this would do is I could specify a file name. I'll say scorecard, for example. What this does is when I click OK, it will create 580 individual PDF files at a location I specify, and each file represents one record. So in this case, because each scorecard is a page, it will create 580 PDF files. Each file has one page within it, and that's a scorecard for a particular row of data. So like each one of these would be individual PDF files using the template here, right? What you can also do is send them by email, sort of an extension of that function. You have to specify again, where the email addresses are. So, I would select contact email address there. I could put in my subject line, a message, and then theoretically send them by email automatically as PDF attachments. So this feature is also very useful. The one thing that I would say is be sure to check it with a test email address first, and then you can utilize it. For whatever reason, this function isn't working on my computer right now. They must have had some software updates. I'm not sure if you're going to encounter the same thing, but go ahead and try this method and see if it works for you. If it does, great. If not, I do have a workaround for it. So let's go ahead and I'll show you that workaround. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a mailings function here. We'll do the finish and merge feature again, and we'll do the edit individual documents, which you'll remember makes a Word file with your scorecards, or in this your template, within it, so we can have, say, 580 records in one Word file. So in this case, let's go ahead and change it. Instead of 580, let's do 10, because I really don't want to put 10 PDF files, 580 PDF files on my hard drive. So we'll do 10, and then we'll click OK. And you'll remember that we now have these 10 scorecards created rather instantaneously, and it's within one Word document. But what you can do is if you want to convert these to PDF, individual PDF files, it's a two-step process. This is a workaround. And so you can go ahead and save it as a PDF. It's going to ask me to save the Word file first, which is fine. So I'll go ahead and go to the PDF split here, and I'll call it ASQ demo, right? And we'll go ahead and save that. And then it's going to save the PDF file. So it says, okay, we're going to save the same file name as a PDF file. So we'll click OK. Alright, so now it's converting it to the Adobe PDF. Perfect. And so now you'll see we have this PDF file, but it has all 10 pages within it. But what we really want is to split it into 10 individual PDF files. And like I said, for whatever reason, my Word function to do that wasn't working. Perhaps yours will, but here's a workaround in case it doesn't work for you. What you will need is Adobe Acrobat, though. So let's go ahead and close these out right now. And what I'll do is I'll load Adobe Acrobat. So here, Adobe Acrobat Pro, and I will click Open. And now what I'm going to do is I'll find that document, which is right there. That's the PDF document that I just generated with all 10 pages. So I'll click Open. So now here it is, right? We have all 10 pages. But what we can do is we can split that document. And the way you do that is under Tools, Pages, and a function called Split Document. So we click on Split. Then it's going to ask, well, how long is each record that you want to split? So in this case, I have 1-page reports. So I'm going to put my maximum pages as 1. Now, if your template is a 2-page template, then you would select it as 2. Essentially, what it's asking you is how many pages do you want to fit into each PDF file? And it has to be consistent, right? It can't be 2 one time for one record and 3 for another record. So you have to modulate that. In this case, it's a 1-page record, so I have maximum pages as 1. And as far as output options, says, well, where do you want to save it? Well, let's go ahead and select a folder on my computer, and I'll go ahead to my documents library and then go under the test PDF split. That makes sense. We'll put all of our split files in there. Then it's going to ask, do you want to add a label? And so what the label is it will name the files starting with the what I would call the parent label, ASQ demo. But then after that, it says, well, what kind of label do you want to add to the end of it in this case? So let's just call it scorecard, right? And then what it's going to do is it will increment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, depending on how many records there are, after that label. And so you'll be able to distinguish one file name from another. It also asks if you want to use a separator between the original name, which is ASQ demo, and the label. And so I put here an underscore. We don't want to overwrite existing files. And then what it'll do is it'll create, in this case, 10 separate PDF files. Right? So let's go ahead and run that. Click OK. So the document has been successfully split into 10 documents. So let's check that. Well, we go back to that folder. Let's go to the My Documents folder, go to the split folder, and sure enough, we have 10 individual PDF files, each file representing one record, right? So this is Acme Widgets number 1. I go to this number 2, Acme Widgets number 2. So, you can see you can create tons of PDF files very quickly, and then you could rename these if you want and email them to clients and so on and so forth. So this is a workaround because quite honestly this is a very valuable function if you want separate files, so you can send specific pages or records to individual clients. So very valuable, very helpful feature. And so then, like I said, it's a workaround, but if this merge Adobe to PDF works for you, go ahead and use it. It's a lot more, it's a lot simpler, and plus you don't need to have Adobe Acrobat Pro on your computer. Okay, so I just showed you how quickly we can generate reports using the mail merge function within Microsoft Word that links a template to an Excel spreadsheet. So I'll give you an example, a real-world example of how much time this can save. So previously we used to send out scorecards to our suppliers, and we would send these out once a year. But oftentimes there's other times when we might want to send them out more than once a year. So you can imagine this time savings can be replicated or multiplied depending on how often we send these out. But anyways, before, what we had to do is when we were manually pasting data from an Excel page onto a scorecard, say we had 600 scorecards, and each scorecard took 3 minutes to cut and paste information from Excel to the scorecard. And I believe this is a very conservative estimate. I think it's probably more like 5 to 7 minutes, depending on how many fields you need to transfer, right? But in this case, let's say it's 3 minutes. That would make it 1,800 minutes, or about 30 hours of work, right? And if there's 800 scorecards, that just goes up. If it takes more than 3 minutes, that just goes up, right? Well, as you could see with the mail merge function, it takes less than 30 seconds to do that work. So you can just see it went from 30 hours to 30 seconds. And so hopefully if you have an application that requires this type of operation, you can utilize this technique and save a tremendous amount of time.